So over to you now. Thank you.
And it's an honor for me to be here with all of you to share my experience in exploring about micro teaching from home. Uh, but actually, I know that most of you are the experts in linguistics, and I am a mathematics education lecturer, so I will try to explain with my limited English, because actually I don't have a good English actually, but I will try as clear as I can. So I hope that you don't mind.
Are you able to speak up a little bit louder for us, because you've got a very soft voice?
Hello? Do you hear me?
Is that a little bit better, everybody, or? Let's see how we go. But if you speak quite loudly, we'll see how we go. Thank you.
Okay, can I continue?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Um, as it known that the COVID-19 outbreaks bring some change in education system, uh, I think the problem of uh, our nowadays education is because we have to shift from face-to-face mode of learning to remote learning from home, and some conventional classroom migrate from to virtual classroom using Moodle, Google Classroom, Edmodo, or Pulugi, and etc. And also, we are in Indonesia forced to be familiar with asynchronous and synchronous learning nowadays. Synchronous by using Zoom, Google Meet, Webex, and etc. But how about some course used to be in laboratory? I'm happy that I now I know that uh, there are some websites which provide virtual laboratories like Labster, PhilLab, and Praxi Labs, and etc. But I think that there is no website provide a laboratory for micro teaching. That's why it is interesting for me to explore the practice of students micro teaching in during this pandemic. As we know that usually micro teaching is conducted in a laboratory completed with various equipment to teach and several people who act as students. But in the current COVID-19, the micro teaching session cannot be conducted in the laboratory, because at least in my college in where I work, there is no teaching and learning activities. So I had to shift the micro teaching session of my students from the laboratory to their home. Although actually we have facilities of micro teaching laboratory. And you know that some of our students have struggled with the online learning during this pandemic. There are a lot of obstacles, there are a lot of blues feeling because the burden of their study. And I want to explore about what are the mathematics perspective teachers' perspective. In this study, I involved 75 students of mathematics education program study in IAIN Kediri, State Institute in Indonesia. The data were collected through questionnaire and interview, and I have a supporting instrument which are online questionnaire and semi-structured interview guide. And the procedure is the first 3 weeks in this course, I gave them some explanation about the theory to perform the micro teaching, such as the basic teaching skills how to manage the classroom, how to manage the time in the classroom, and etc. And then I share the project instruction that where they had to make a lesson plan and perform a micro teaching from home with a video recorder. So they had to record their performance in micro teaching at their home. After that, they submitted in 3 weeks, and then I made scheduled meeting with my students to review the lesson plan and the video recorded micro teaching. Also, I involve the peer, the other students to do a peer review. So the other students can could give them the evaluation of the performance in micro teaching from home. And then after that, I interview the student to obtain the deep information about the challenge they face during working on this project. And I find that most of my students feel or said that the project instructions were clear, because in the beginning I also explained what they have to do, what they will produce, and what kind of assessment we will use. And then, but more than a half of them said that it was difficult to prepare lesson plan and learning media from home. And then 45% of them said that it was not difficult to complete the project within 3 weeks. This is the fact that more than a half of students feel that 3 weeks is was not enough to fulfill the project, because in this online learning they have another assignment from other course, and the deadline is what is that? The assignment is very they have a lot of assignment, I mean, so they were difficult to manage their time. And then when I asked them about the obstacle in teaching practice when recorded, most of them said yes, they had obstacle in teaching practice when they were recorded. What is the obstacle? I will explain in the next. And then when I asked them the obstacle in recording process, they also said, most of them also said that yes, they have obstacle in recording process, because actually they most of them didn't have any video recorder in their home, so they feel that it was very difficult to record their performance while they didn't have any video recorder tools. So they just some of them just use
น้องสองคนแล้วหนึ่งวงเขามาอายุเนี่ยแล้วจริงๆศึกษากับทางแต่หายใจที่เกิดเป็นเล็กฝอย
Excuse me? Do you hear my voice?
Yes, we can. It's okay. It's all fixed now. Off you go.
Sorry. Okay, I can continue my presentation. And then when I asked, could you understand that this could you understand about designing teaching and learning activities more through this project from home? Almost all the students said yes, they do understand. They did understand, because they have been given the theory, and also they can learn by themselves about designing teaching and learning process activities, I mean. But then when I asked about could you train your teaching skill through this project, almost all students said yes. And then, but there were quarter 25% of students didn't felt more confidence to teach than before, because there were some students who were nervous. They said that it was the first time they act as a teacher. So, and when they act as a teacher, they have to act in their home. They didn't get any insight because they wanted to act as a teacher in a laboratory. So they thought that the project was not efficient to increase their confidence into to teach mathematics. And then almost all students say that they like working on this project as a substitute of conducting micro teaching in laboratory. It means that they prefer to conducting micro teaching at their home to conducting micro teaching in the laboratory, because the students' home were very far away from the campus, and we have a student from all over province, so they may be reluctant to go to the campus to do a micro teaching. And then through the project, I am better prepared to teach than before. 81% students agree with that. Although there were 19% who said that they want to do micro teaching in a laboratory. From this questionnaire, then I conduct an interview to all of the participants, and I find that there are several challenges the student face during completing the project of micro teaching from home. And the challenges were categorized to 4 aspects, namely pedagogical and psychological, infrastructure, technical, and other. Pedagogical and psychological include the lack of self-efficacy in teaching. These students who said that they were not confident because it was the first time they have to be a teacher in a classroom setting. In a classroom setting, so they didn't have sufficient self-efficacy in teaching. And then some students also feel that they didn't master sufficient basic teaching skills. So when they had to do a micro teaching from home, they were like nervous, and then they didn't do it well. And then some other said that they didn't have experience to act in front of a video recorder. I think it was different when the student act in micro teaching laboratory and in the home with a video recorder. They felt that this video recording made them afraid to do something, so they did more mistake. and then the lack of ability to select and present media according to learning objective. It was associated to the nature material of mathematics. You know that mathematics is full of symbol, mathematics is full of notation. So when a teacher when a teacher has to teach the concept of mathematics, sometimes she or he needs a media, she or he needs a worksheet like that. But when the micro teaching was conducted in a student's home, the students didn't provide a proper learning media to perform good micro teaching. And then about the infrastructure issue, of course, most of the students feel the lack of classroom properties such as blackboards, table, chair, and etc. And then hard to get students actor. Actually, I have made a group for the students so that one student can act as a teacher and the other student act as a student. But then it didn't work. My student prefer to get the other student in near their home, so they didn't use the grouping I made, and in the end they finally find it hard to get students actor. And then lack of procurement of adequate video recording and editing tools. As I said before, they think it was difficult to do the micro teaching because they didn't have any video recorder, so they just use camera cell phone. Of course, it had a limited vision, and it made them and they think that it was very challenging. And then no one helps recording, and less ability in video editing, unsupported recording situation like noise, dark, etc. And then lack of preparation, and the minor challenges is less understanding of videotape micro teaching class. This is actually the some of the challenge my student face. Unsupported recording situation, this is noise, and he didn't have any classroom properties or something that can substitute the classroom properties. So of course it will give some effect for his performance. And then in this visualization, we can see that C didn't have blackboard and LCD projector, but she tried to substitute that properties with paper and editing video. So when she was recorded, she acts like she project the slide, but actually she didn't. And then after video recording, she edited the video recording and just copy paste the slide here. Here she didn't have any table and chair for her students, but she could perform very well here. And here she said that she was hard to get a student actor, So she just use one student. So she used one student, and the student, the teacher use a paper for the blackboard substitute. Okay. I think this is the end of my explanation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Shinta. I wonder if anyone has questions.